Welcome to An Apple a Day, a podcast, a resource, a community. Share your experiences and learn from others as we overcome barriers and learn to live a happy, healthy life with a disability. Welcome to the community. Here's your host, Jimmy Apple.
Welcome to another episode of An Apple a Day. I'm your host, Jimmy Apple. How you doing today, my friends? You feeling good? You feeling strong? You feeling better than you did yesterday? Excellent. You can't ask for better than that. How you making out with your medications? You taking them the way you're supposed to? Hey, you still getting them delivered to the house? Excellent. Hey, before we start, I want to remind you, An Apple a Day is brought to you by www.famousapple.com. Famousapple.com is the home site for this podcast, so if you get a minute, check it out. Hey, and while you're tripping around the web, make sure you check out www.famousapple.com/group. That'll bring you to our An Apple a Day group page on Facebook. And there's conversations going on, people chatting, people from all over the world. So if you get a minute, check it out. That's famousapple.com/group. Brings you to An Apple a Day group page on Facebook called Living with a Disability. And nice people over there. You'll make some new friends. Today, we have a good one for you. But before we start, I'm going to give you some homework. And so get a pen, write this down. What I want you to do, write this down and stick it on your refrigerator. Or stick it on your night table. Stick it somewhere so it's in front of your face every day. You ready? Write this down. Start today and never stop. Believe in yourself. Doesn't matter who else believes in you. You make sure that you believe in yourself. So start today. Never stop. Believe in yourself. I'm going to check with you. Make sure that you're doing this. It's very important. You have to believe in yourself. Anyway, today I'm going to introduce you to Coach Rosa. Coach Rosa Smith Montanaro. She is a virtual weight loss, wellness, and success coach. She is the author of Mind Over Platter, Train Your Brain to Think Thin, and the award-winning creator of mindoverplatter.com. She is also the author of the 21-Day Diet. Rosa is a certified success coach with an expertise in weight management and the mind and body connection. She is also certified at the master level in hypnosis. Now, if that doesn't intrigue you, I don't know what will. But I'm not going to go into the whole bio because I want you to meet Coach Rosa. She is a phenomenal person. She's got an attitude like you wouldn't believe. She's the friendliest person I've ever met, and just a warm-hearted person. So I want you to sit back, relax, put your feet up, get ready for a fun interview, and I want to introduce you to Coach Rosa Smith Montanaro. Hi, I'd like to introduce our new friend today. Her name is Coach. Now keep that in mind, she's a coach. Coach Rosa Smith Montanaro. Hello, Rosa, how are you?
I'm well, Jimmy. How are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm doing good. Now, I met Rosa through, a friend of mine, Sid Ragosa. He's from Success Sauce and Two Pickles. He's another podcast and a radio show announcer. But I've also seen Rosa on Coffee with Coach Rosa in the morning on live stream on Facebook. Tell us about that first. Let's talk about Coffee with Coach Rosa because I'm getting caffeined up now every morning.
Thank you for watching that.
Every day, I'm addicted to it. I used to watch Leave It to Beaver. Now I watch you.
Oh my goodness, that's great. You made my day. You made my day.
So
Coffee with Coach Rosa is something I started around right before COVID. Basically, prior to COVID, I was trying to go live and just get the word out about what I was doing because so many of my friends would say to me, "So what is it you do again?" And I was thinking, how does that no one know what I do? And so I started going live as a way to stretch out of my comfort zone and talk about various things. And I'm a morning person, and at the time I was working full time, so the only time I could do it was really early. And then right around when COVID hit, I was in a call and somebody said people should really be helping other people cope with what's going on. Use your gifts to help others. And I thought, well, I'm going to go live every day and just be inspiring and encouraging and use my coaching skills and maybe even just talk. And so I started calling it Coffee with Coach Rosa because I was having a cup of coffee and it stuck. Everybody started saying, "Oh my gosh, Coffee with Coach Rosa, how fun." And so like that was out of all the things I've done in all these years, that seems to have the most appeal. And Fridays, when I'm watching my grandson Victor, who's 3, he likes to go on it as well, and he calls me Coach Rosa. And when he sees me, he says, "Can we do Coffee with Coach Rosa?"
Cool.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, when I first seen it, I was like, well, what is she doing? But then it becomes addicting. Now, I'm putting the cart before the horse here, though. Let me just tell you a little bit that I found out about Coach Rosa. Coach Rosa, she's a success coach. She's a virtual weight loss and wellness coach. She's the author of 2 books, mind you, Mind Over Platter, Train Your Brain to Think Thin, and the award-winning creator of mindoverplatter.com, her website. She also wrote a book, The 21-Day Diet, in 2020. It's, 50 pages, right?
Yeah, I would say maybe 40, but I wrote it before 2020, but I put it on Kindle in 2020. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You're also a success coach with expertise in weight management and the mind and body connection. She's also certified at the master level of hypnosis, neurolinguistics programming, NLP, thought field therapy, TM, TFT. You're going to explain all of this, right? Emotional freedom techniques, EFT, herbal specialist, and humanistic neurolinguistic psychology. Rosa teaches seminars throughout the country on the mind-body connection and how to create a life that is a reflection of your values. Go ahead, take it from there, Rosa.
Well, thank you. Well, I haven't been around the country lately.
Okay.
Since COVID started. Yeah, so some of those really cool things that I'm trained in are things like neurolinguistics programming, which is how the mind processes, like how your language affects your mind, how your mind processes the way we perceive things. It's almost like how the recipe your brain uses to determine what you believe in something. So Tony Robbins is probably the most famous person who's a NLP person. Okay. He calls it neurosociative conditioning, but it's the same roots. I love NLP. I've been trained in that since 1996, and also hypnosis, which I love, which is really also geared towards the subconscious mind. And the EFT and the TFT are all forms of tapping, which is a really cool modality to help like settle anxiety and kind of restore balance to your system, like on an energetic level, much like how acupuncture and acupressure would work.
By tapping.
By tapping on the meridians.
Yeah. But I don't want to sound really stupid here, but by tapping, what do you mean by tapping?
So what you do is there's an algorithm that you basically tap on, and it's like these little pressure points or these little acupressure points. So they could be maybe on the inside of the eyebrows, on the outside of the eyebrows, under the eyes, under your nose, and under your lips. And you would tap on those spots as you're thinking about what's upsetting you or a craving someone has for food. And so there's a whole series I take them through of these tapping points. And it's designed to restore balance to the system.
Oh, it is physically tapping then?
Yeah, physically tapping. Yeah, I have a version I've actually adapted called Snap and Tap, where you snap out of it and you tap out of it. So it's kind of a little hybrid of all the things I've learned over the years.
Oh, excellent. I've done acupressure in the past. I had a friend that studied acupressure. I've also, now this may sound a little bit out there, but I've also had someone do Reiki with me when when I was doing after I had my surgery, I had a therapist that came to my house, and they did Reiki, and I didn't 100% believe in it until after I went through it with them, and it does work. I think it's you have to actually believe for some of this stuff to work, and if you believe it is going to work, or you have an open mind about it, I think it does work. But the acupressure I know worked, and I'm sure the tapping does too.
Yeah, the cool thing about the tapping is you don't have to believe in it to work, because it's really based on that flow of energy, exactly how acupressure and acupuncture is based. So even if someone says, I don't believe in it, they can still tap through it and they will notice a shift, because usually it calms them down a bit. I am a Reiki master, and Reiki is not even something you have to believe in, because it's not your energy or my energy. It's just allowing that healing energy that exists all around us to just flow through us to help, restore healing to the system. So you're isn't anybody doing anything. You're just allowing yourself to almost be a channel of that healing to flow through you. So it's a really cool modality. I love Reiki.
I was first introduced to it years and years and years ago by a fellow that I worked with. Him and his wife were very, very involved with it, and he's since become a Reiki master. And but he swore by it, and I can remember several times where I had a bad shoulder, and he'd say, "Let me try it on you." And I was younger, and I would be like, "Yeah, okay, go right ahead, whatever you think." Yeah. But it worked. And I believed if you kept an open mind, and a lot of people don't, but if you keep an open mind with these things, you'd be surprised what happens. And like I said, when I got hurt, after the accident and stuff like that, and I had surgery, I had a therapist that came to the house, and they were like, well, we're not supposed to do this, but if you're willing to give it a try. And I said, I've heard of it before, and I'm willing to give it a try, and it did work. But
it can't hurt you. Reiki can do no harm. I like Reiki, especially when somebody's ill. And like my father-in-law, when he was in hospice, I would go there really early, like at 6 o'clock in the morning or something. And the nurse, I bring my music, and the nurses, they're all very accepting of Reiki. They're firm believers of it. And I said, do you mind if I do Reiki on my father-in-law? And they'd say, no, absolutely. Oh, that's wonderful. And I do believe, it's not necessarily going to heal the body, but it's also soothing to the soul. So it's really just around helping that person be at peace at some level.
Exactly.
So it's not going to be a miracle where somebody's miraculously healed of something, but I do believe it's soothing to the soul, and whatever's right for that person, it helps facilitate that. And he was very peaceful and liked when I did. He wasn't talking during that time, but he was seemed to be very receptive to it and at peace. So that was cool.
That's the other thing I noticed about it. It gives you like a warm feeling, like a peaceful feeling for that bit of time that it's being done. I noticed that myself.
Yeah.
And it kind of lingers on afterwards. It's like the only way to explain it is maybe it sounds funny to some people, but it's a warm feeling. It's the best I can explain it. Well, that's cool. I didn't realize you were a Reiki master as well.
Yeah, I don't write everything down, but I've been trained in a lot of things over the years.
Oh my God! Wow, but that's really cool. You ought to add it. I'd love to see your whole resume. to be honest.
Yeah.
And now you're thinking about going into podcasting as well.
That would be fun. That's one of the things I want to do this year. I have to, figure out when's the right timing, but I definitely want to start a podcast.
For you, the right timing was last year. You should have done it yesterday.
I know.
I'm telling you, you have it. You have the personality for it. Yeah, I mean,
thank you.
You look at your resume now. You've written 2 books. You've got this whole set of specialties that you're involved in. I'm not even going to attempt to read the list again, because I butchered it the first time. You've got it all. And I really think you'd be great in podcasting. But let's go back to your book here for a second. Because our audience, I think, would benefit from your book. Because, with the disabled community, unfortunately, 90% of the disabled people lead a sedentary life.
Mm-hmm.
Or not put it this way, maybe not completely sedentary, but not as active as they used to be. And when you're not as active as you used to be, you tend to put on weight.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think the Train Your Brain book, your Mind Over Platter, would work for them?
I think it would be extremely helpful. Yes, I do think it would be great for anyone, especially for people who have to be resilient and overcome limitations. Because I wrote this book really as a template for success. You know, I'm certified as a success coach. I have that kind of training and the NLP combo. So I wrote this really to be around how to get your mind in the right place. And it could be used in any area of your life. I just happen to use it around the area of weight management and food. But the whole first half of the book is about overcoming adversity, because I write my own story in there, and I had a very traumatizing childhood, and I was in a body cast for a year because I had scoliosis, so I had to have surgery. Wow. And so I had my own things to overcome. And so my mental programming, my brain was quite flawed as far as the messages I received, which were really hurtful messages. And not that anyone deliberately was trying to do that, but I'm not going to say some were really unstable people. So you can't, that's who they are. So I share with that about how I had to learn how to change the way I see things, the way my self-image, my self-talk, and these skills that I've learned, how I've used them to transform how I see things in my mind and my interpretation of myself even. And with that came this level of, I'm going to accept who I am and start to appreciate who I am. And I want to lose 30 pounds, but if I never do, I'm going to learn to love who I am and accept who I am. And I think that's really important in life as we start to make healthier choices, because the choices we want to make are because we want a healthier lifestyle. We want to have quality of life, rather than I hate my body, so I want to lose weight. That's not going to create a long-lasting change, and it's not a loving way to change. It's a very stressful way to make a change. And typically, once you reach a result from that type of change, you'll go back to whatever. Once you reach it, you'll go back because you have alleviated what initially motivated you. But if you come from a place of, I want to be the healthiest version of me I can be, and here, I know why, these are my reasons, and also it's important to have the best quality of life I can have, then the decisions we make aren't based on, I don't want to, I don't want to eat the chocolate cake because I can't. I'm not going to feel good after I eat that chocolate cake. So maybe I'll just have a little piece, but I know I'll feel better if I have a healthier choice, because now my body won't ache later, or I won't have that brain fog or whatever, we find as a result of like that type of sugar. And I don't believe in all or nothing. I think a healthy balance is appropriate. And the other part of that is helping people understand that their brain is thinking like a chronic dieter, when it could be thinking like a naturally healthy, trim person. And that mindset is very different. So when you start adapting those habits of those mindsets and understanding those mindsets, then you start to overall increase the quality of your life and feel happier. And I do have suggestions in there about gut health and food combining and all that. And of course, I'm not a doctor or a nutritionist, so people need to, check with those individuals. But I found, a lower carb lifestyle for me, with not as much bread, pasta, rice, potatoes, is actually a healthy way for me to live. So I tend to lean that way, and I talk a little bit about it, but I don't tell people they have to do that. I just share some of those principles as well, because it's also anti-inflammatory. And then we talk about insulin, insulin resistance and how to manage that. And I think that's crucial. I think that's really important for people to understand.
Yeah. Well, I think what it boils down to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the whole thing is behavior modification.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As far as the insulin, I'm living proof. When I first got hurt, I couldn't walk. And from being hurt and not being able to walk and being bedridden, I went from weighing 217 pounds to weighing 390 pounds.
Wow. Yeah.
And let me tell you, it took a long, long time to get back down into the 200 range.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But because of my massive weight gain and being, like a rock being sitting there. I became diabetic back in 1999, and now I wear an insulin pump, and I only have one leg. So, it's so important for people to maintain their weight, to watch what they're eating. And that's why I believe so much in what you're saying and your books. Everything that you're talking about means so much to me. I wish I knew you back then, because people would come to visit me and they were bringing me things that made me feel better like you wouldn't believe. Carvel shakes, Entenmann's donuts. Forget about it. The best thing that you could bring me to make me feel good was a peppermint patty. That was my biggest weakness. And, here I am now, well, amongst other things, but I'm a diabetic now, and I have, like I said, one leg, amongst other things. But it's so important. It's so important to eat healthy. It's so important, and it's not hard. That's the whole thing. It's not hard. When I was at my high weight, I thought you were trying to kill me by making me eat healthy, and that's what I thought when my wife was saying, don't eat that. And I was like, don't I have enough problems? Why are you trying to stop me from feeling good by eating this? And in reality, I'm looking at the things that you talk about on your Coffee with Coach in the morning. I was reading some of your book today, actually, and it just makes so much sense. And if people take the time just to look and read and listen to what you're saying, their life could turn around, honestly. And it, like you said, it's not just their eating habits, but if they take what you're teaching, other aspects of their life can turn around as well.
And I hope so, and I believe that. I absolutely believe that is the motivator. Is it's so much more than weight loss. It's really, the weight is one piece of it, but this is really about our whole lives and transforming ourselves from the inside out. And and what you're saying is so true as far as people, the underlining secondary gain from why we're eating what we're eating, because it's soothing or it's comforting, and it maybe gives us a false sense of control, like somebody's already been telling, I can't do anything else, so at least I can do this. Those are the things that we have to look at to really snap out of it and change our behavior, because there is a lot of secondary gain with food. And people do use food as a source of love.
Of course.
And then you don't want to deny the love that you're receiving. So it's really subconsciously, there's a lot going on. And when we start realizing it, that's when we have the power to say, this isn't really what's happening. This person they're doing their best. Yes, they're bringing me treats, but this isn't really what's best for me. So I'm going to accept the gesture that they love me and care about me. And I know this isn't healthy for me, and I'm going to have to shift that and change that. And sometimes even communicating with people to say, don't bring me, these things. I'd love you to come see me, but I don't want you to bring, this or this. That is hard for people, but it can be done. That's about boundaries too, and knowing what we need and communicating those needs.
Well, even your Mind Over Platter, that book there, some of the things that are in, like I said, you can use that book for anything, not just dieting. There's things in that book, if you took it, if anyone's still smoking, put it that way, you could quit smoking by just putting these things to work against smoking. Now, I'm saying this again from my own experience, because I was a smoker for 35 years, and I quit the day I had my first heart attack. But again, you can use this book. Again, you can use this book for anything to get your life straight. It's amazing. That's the only way I can say it. And I've only read a little bit of it. I didn't read all 194 pages, and I'm being honest. I was skimming through the beginning of it, and it just appealed to me for some reason. And I'm going to read the entire book now.
Well, thank you. Thank you for reading it, and thank you for seeing what my intention was. I'm so glad that you saw that.
You can see it right from the beginning, and I mean that. Anyone that takes the time, even just to read the beginning of the book, you're going to be hooked, like I am, because I know now I'm going to be reading the book. So I'll be reading it tonight. But I started reading it, and actually I was watching the time because I knew I had to come on with you today. And I was watching the time, but I was reading it, and I'm saying, wow, I realized this. And I've seen this in my own life. And I was skipping part to part to part. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the right way to read a book. You should just read it straight through. But I was just skimming through it, and it just caught me. It's got me hooked, so I'm reading it. I'm definitely reading it. Now, I want to talk to you, too, about the other book, The 21-Day Diet. Let's talk about that now.
Sure.
It's a guide. It's a, what is it? It's a short ebook that'll guide you on how to turn your body from fat storing machine to a fat burning machine. Tell me that, because I need that.
The 21-day diet I wrote a while ago, actually quite a while ago. And it was a short ebook. Like I said, it's probably 40 pages. It's not that long. And it's really based on what's become so popular now, which is that, how you basically burn through your own fat reserves and start using your own fat for fuel instead of the food you're eating for fuel. And I had years ago met with a nutritionist, and I was a vegetarian. My cholesterol was high. My blood work wasn't that great. And it was because I was eating all this pasta, and diabetes, everyone in my family has it. My mother, a lot of my relatives, my grandmother, and I remember her giving herself a shot every day and a lot of insulin. So they all have high blood pressure, diabetes, heart issues. So I was saying, I don't understand. I eat healthy. And he said, you need to get off all this pasta. Like, I ate pasta every day for my, growing up. My mother's from Italy. And everything was homemade. I mean, she would make everything from scratch and we were poor, so it's cheaper to make it from scratch. So we had inexpensive foods, but they were high carb and really good. And I realized that, and I was a lot heavier than I am now. And so when I started cutting out those red pasta, rice, potato, starchy carbs and learning, I was amazed at how much better I felt, how my blood work turned around, my triglycerides went down, my healthy cholesterol went up. And so the 21-day diet is like a fast kickstart to, here's the bottom line, and here's what happens when you eat a food and how it converts into glucose in the system, and what's happening in your body, and how to kind of cut that down so that you start burning your own stored fat. And so it does it in 21-day increments. The first 21 days, you're really dropping those carbs and teaching your body to burn its own fat. In the next 21 days, you can increase a little bit. And I sort of show you how to modify. And again, I tell people I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor or anything like that. This is information I've learned. I have recently, over the last couple of years, gotten certified in keto and intermittent fasting, just because I like that sort of lifestyle.
Right.
And I thought it would, lend itself well to everything else I do. So it's an easy read too.
Right. Well, I'm telling you right now, I plan on reading both of them. But the first one's got me hooked. The Mind Over Plata, that's got me hooked, because that, again, and I don't mean to keep on going back to that, but that just affects every part of your life. That doesn't just affect food. That affects it. Yeah. If you're working, it affects your work life. It can affect your personal life, as well as your weight. It can affect everything. And it's, if you read it and you actually take some time to actually comprehend what you're reading, you'll see yourself. And like I said, I realized it just from reading it real quick, from, I don't want to say glancing over it, but just jumping from page to page. So I'm definitely, like I said, I'm hooked on it. I'm waiting for you to write another book.
Oh, thank you. That was a lot of work, writing a book.
Well, get to work. Get to work. You don't have anything else to do with all those initials after your name. Go ahead. Write another book. So what are your plans now? I mean, you've written 2 books. You've studied everything.
Yeah.
What are your plans?
Good thing. Well, so my plans are, what I decided to do during 2020, to be honest with you, I was working full time and teaching classes and in another field, really a whole different area, career management. And during COVID and working from home, I realized, and having grandchildren, because I have 2 grandchildren. Thank you. I realized I don't want to exchange time for money. Like it's just too much time. Like there's a lot of time that I spend working. I like what I do. I actually love teaching, and like being gone basically from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. is a lot of time, because I also want to hit the gym on my way home. And if I get to do that, I'm gone another 12-hour days. And I want to spend some time with my grandson. I'm fortunate that I get to watch him as much as I want. I can have him. So that's kind of where I've chosen to go semi-retire. And out of all the things I've done, I during that time, I kind of put Mind Over Platter on the back burner, because I've had a bumpy ride. The recession really kind of threw everything upside down, and I thought, you know what, I'm burning out. I'm gonna put everything on the back burner, and I'm just going to work a day job for a while. And that's actually easier. I mean, I think anybody would admit it's easier having a job than it is having a business.
Really, but
It's much easier. But I am an entrepreneur. I love being an entrepreneur. And I had that calling inside me that said, you're not done. Your work's not done. Let's revamp the book. Let's update it. And let's get the word out there to help people. And you could do this till the day, your last day on earth. And so I moved my virtual weight loss program and weight management program that I created. I moved it to a brand new platform. I've updated it, recorded a bunch of videos. So that's my membership. I have a membership site now that people can join, and I have coaching sessions they receive weekly, and messages, text messages to remind them, stay on track. I have a little Facebook group for them. I do lives for them. And really, what I'm hoping to do next is really take Mind Over Platter to another level and share it with more people. But there's a learning curve with that too. So I'm still learning how to do all that.
I'm glad you retired.
No, it's not even like, yeah, I say retired, but I didn't.
Yeah. Well, you ran a daycare too.
I did for almost 10 years. That's how I got to hang out with my kids. Once I had my kids, I didn't want to leave them anymore. I was like, I like playing with this baby. I don't want to leave this baby.
And you said something that struck a chord with me, actually, on your Coffee with Coach Rosa, about how you had to go for your licensing.
Oh yeah.
And how you were so put off by the 50-page application, but you stuck to it. And you did it.
Yeah.
And that says so much, because so many people, like you said, would have turned around and said, you know what, I really don't need a license. That's a message that has to go out for everybody. Like you said, now things are so much easier with the computer and online, and you got a telephone that you can do it all in the palm of your hand. We didn't have that back then. But
right.
If you stick to whatever you're trying to do, you're going to get ahead. There's no obstacle that's too big that you can't get around. And again, that's what's in your book. Your book proves that there are no real obstacles to stop you from doing anything. That's another thing that I got from your book, your Mind Over Platter. Obstacles mean nothing. There's always a way to get around them, over them, or under them, but they mean nothing. They just might slow you down a little bit, but they mean nothing.
Yeah. And I always say your timeline might change, but your goal shouldn't change.
Exactly. And anyone that says that they can't, that's just an excuse. I don't care where you are. And you can't say, well, I'm disabled. You're not disabled. There is no such thing in this world as a disabled person. There's such a thing as a person with a disability, but there's no such thing as a disabled person. So there is no excuse for anybody to say you can't do something. And you're living proof. You put it right there in black and white for people. And you've just made it. I can't express this enough. Your words mean so much in that book. And it's so much more than a diet book. That's the only, I can't express that enough. That book is so much more than a diet book. That's a lifestyle book. Put it that way.
Yeah.
That's a blueprint for success. This book, this Mind Over Platter.
Yeah.
It's a blueprint.
That's what I meant it to be a blueprint for success. And I do feel like, and thank you for saying that, because I do.
It is.
I do always say it's not about the diet. It's about the mindset. It's about, understanding how.
If it helps, think of your life as a meal. And this is going to tell you how to put your meal together. In other words, how to put your life together. And I mean that wholeheartedly. I'm not just blowing smoke up Coach Rosa's butt. I'm not. Because, and anyone that knows me, anyone that's listened to this podcast before, knows that if I don't believe in something, first of all, I wouldn't have Coach Rosa on if I didn't believe in her product. I wouldn't. If I don't believe in something, I'm not going to sing its praises. I'll tell you right off, I think it's a joke. But I believe in this. Again, I've listened to Coach Rosa now for a couple of weeks, Coffee with Coach Rosa. And you know me, anyone that goes into some of these podcast rooms knows. That's how I met Sid Ragosa and Tamara McDuff. That's how I met them, was in a podcast room. And him and I were talking about different podcasts. And there's podcasts out there that I think are great. And I listen to them. But there's other ones out there that I think are just junk. And I have no problem telling them that. And when Sid told me, he says, listen to Coach Rosa and see what you think. And I started listening to it, and I'm addicted. I'm addicted. I have my coffee ready in the morning, and I sit at my computer and I listen to Coach Rosa. It's a pleasant way to start the morning. And
I'm glad.
And now getting a chance to talk to you and reading your books, I enjoy it. And like I said, I can't say enough good things about Mind Over Platter. Now, what I do want to tell you is get your copy. Make sure you get your copies. And also check out her websites. Now, she's got her mindoverplatter.com. Now, I went there today myself, and there's a little quiz you can take. And take the quiz. It doesn't hurt you. It takes about less than 5 minutes to take the quiz. And it's going to tell you what your diet personality is. And I took it, and I am a fast-paced Freddy.
That makes sense.
Which means that I need a lot of help with my diet. But
convenience.
Yeah, right. Everything. I reach for everything that's convenient. So make sure you take the test. And right after I took the test, I got a letter from Coach Rosa. So make sure you take that test. Go over to www.mindoverplatter.com. I think it took 3 minutes to take the test, take the quiz. And you'll find out what kind of diet personality you have. And also, if you want to get a copy of her books, The Mind Over Platter, now I put it through Famous Apple. You can go to famousapple.com/mindoverplatter. That's going to bring you right to Amazon, and you can get a copy of her book there, whether you want the Kindle, the paperback, or the hard copy. They're right there. So it's famousapple.com/mindoverplatter. And if you want to get a copy of the 21-Day Diet, you can go to famousapple.com/21-Day Diet. And again, you get your copy of a print copy or the Kindle copy. So I'm going to put those websites in the show notes for this podcast. And also, you have a Facebook page, Rosa, right?
Yeah, I do. I do have a Facebook group that people, if they want to, connect with me and stay connected, it's facebook.com/groups/virtual Coach Rosa.
Okay, well, I'm going to have that in the show notes as well. So don't worry about if you didn't write that down. It'll be in the show notes here for that. And is there an email where they can get in touch with you?
Sure. My email is coachrosa@mindoverplatter.com.
There you go. And that'll be in the show notes as well. Well, Rosa, I want to thank you so much for being with us today. And
thank you.
I'm hoping that you'll come on with us again. And when you get your podcast up and going, because I know you're going to do it. I don't care if you say no, but I know you're going to do it. I want to be a guest on your podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to be a guest on your podcast. All
absolutely.
Right? Well, thank you so much for being here today. And I hope we can talk again.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow on Coffee with Coach Rosa.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
There you go. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So was I right or what? I told you, Coach Rosa, very, very interesting. And like I said, I'm going to put the links to her books and how to contact her and her websites all in the show notes, so make sure you check them out. And I want to thank you for stopping by again today. And I want to remind you, no matter what, things can always be worse. That's right, my friends. Things can always be worse. Right now, there's somebody somewhere wishing that they were in your position. So things can always be worse. And one more thing I want to remind you, believe in yourself. I'm going to check you. I'm going to check you out. That's your homework. Believe in yourself. Hey, you've been listening to An Apple a Day, and my name is Jimmy Apple. I'll talk to you next time. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to An Apple a Day with Jimmy Apple, your gateway to a happy, healthy life. Join our community at www.famousapple.com. See you next time.